Hello, my name is Raju Daga, and this presentation explains the design of my early childhood learning resource for National Night of Week. The resource is called Our Country, Our Story. It is a play-based storytelling tree designed for children aged 3 to 5 years. Across the presentation, I'll show you the materials that I selected and how I sourced them, why each of the resources were chosen, and how it is developmentally appropriate. And yeah, that's it. Let's move on to another. I chose National Night of Week because it provides a strong and respectful context for embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' perspective in early childhood education. According to the official Night of website, the week celebrates this history, culture, and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Islanders. For children aged 3 to 5, this can be explored through developmentally appropriate experiences such as story, play, sensory exploration, and discussion. In my, in my resource, Night of Week is not treated as a decorative theme. Instead, it becomes a meaningful opportunity to support respect, curiosity, belonging, and cultural awareness in everyday learning. This makes the event relevant to children's lived experiences rather than something distant or abstract. The resource itself is a storytelling tray built from natural rules part. Children can arrange the materials to create their own version of country, then use figurines and simple story cards to tell what is happening, what belongs in the landscape, and how characters move through it. This makes the resource open-ended rather than product-focused. It can be revisited across several learning experiences, which is important because children at this age benefit from repetition, shared language, and sensory engagement. The tray also encourages collaborative storytelling, so learning happens not only through materials but through interaction and shared meaning making. It can be used with a whole group or small group or individual children depending on confidence, language development, and interest. The key materials are stone, sticks, bark, leaves, and sand fabric, animal figurines, story prompt cards, and many more. These were chosen because they are tactile, open-ended, and visually connected to the environment. In practice, I would collect the natural items for a local outdoor space and check that they are clean, safe, suitable, and for supervision purposes. As the children are very young, and I would also reuse existing classroom items such as trays, bowls, and the resources uh, that are practical, affordable, and realistic for an early childhood setting, not just one time display. It also means the resources can be recreated easily in real service without relying on expensive commercial materials. A strong part of this assessment is documenting the design process, not only showing the finished resource. That is why I would organize my visuals in a sequence, first collecting the natural materials, then testing the layout in the tray, and finally photographing the completed storytelling setup. This sequence demonstrates that the resource was intentionally planned and refined. It also makes my rationale more credible because the academic ideas I discuss can be directly linked to the choices visual in the images. For the final university administration, these mock-up visuals should be replaced with my own original process photographs. Doing that would strengthen authenticity and fully meet the requirement for original visuals evidence in the assessment brief. The rationale for this resource is grounded in recognized early childhood theory. Nicholson's theory of loose parts explains why open-ended materials such as sticks, stones, and leaves are powerful. They can be moved, combined, and transformed in many different ways. Flea's work on play-based learning is also relevant because the tray supports active engagement, imagination, and shared exploration rather than passive participation. In addition, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory helps explain why educator interaction matters. Children's learning is extended when adults model language, ask questions, and scaffold ideas. This is consistent with the EYLF and with Quality Area 1 of the National Quality Standards framework, which emphasize engaging child-centered and intentional practices. A major consideration in this task is how indigenous perspectives are embedded respectfully. My intention is not to reproduce sacred knowledge or use superficial symbols. Instead, the resources focuses on the idea that are appropriate for young children and consistent with respectful pedagogy, connection to the country, care for place, listening, story, and belonging. Research also warns that tokenistic practices can occur when indigenous perspectives are treated as adds-on instead of being embedded in everyday curriculum. For the reason, I would include an acknowledgement of country, use restricted language, and where possible, seek local guidance so that the learning remains relational and context specific rather than generic. In this way, the resources supports cultural respect while staying suitable for young children and for many role for my role as educator in training. To support learning with this resource, I would use intentional teaching strategies rather than leaving the experience completely unstructured. I would begin with the open-ended question to invite children's ideas, then model language and storytelling. I would definitely be sharing some good stories about like Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. Yeah, I would also scaffold learning by extending what children say and do without taking control of the experience. This supports agency while still deepening learning. In terms of inclusion, I would create a calm and respectful environment where every child can participate. Materials can be adapted for sensory needs, group size can be adjusted, and children can communicate through talk, gesture, or movement. The goal is a learning space that is safe, responsive, and culturally respected. And finally, these are the references that I use for my activity building. Thank you for listening.